Hi, so I have been working on my app still, and so far the progress has been good. I decided against doing, I basically built a second MVP, or I did like an MVP 2.0, which is not bare bones but nice, like a nice shiny MVP. So I decided against having an email pop up and all that stuff because it's probably a better metric just to go by users, and asking for an email is leaves a really bad taste in the mouth of the user, and I don't really care even for the email address. I just want to see if I get users. Beyond this, I try to make the app really polished, but the logic is really, I have not worked on it. So if actually people would use this properly, then they would quickly grow frustrated with the lack of any sort of learning algorithm or whatever, just the same words being randomly picked. Instead, I focused on making everything nice, good looking. I added animations. I added a scoring system, so you get like a score. Could maybe add a sound, but that's kind of tricky in my opinion. So I will hold off for that. And it's more or less finished right now. There isn't really any obvious things I would add. There's more. The other things I would add there, like more nuanced features that might not even be good to begin with. One example is I added so the higher the score, the more buttons appear, or the higher the streak, the more buttons appear. But this just didn't really feel that cool. Maybe randomizing it would be nice, but then you basically have the working product, which is nice, and when you add like a heavy feature change, like random buttons versus constantly all the same buttons, it really disrupts the idea of the product, the game, and so it's almost like a different thing. So I have to be careful with this, not to, yeah, has to feel good basically. And if I just really nearly make radical changes, it might feel really weird. So I built something and then I basically reverted, or I just left the branch, and so it feels good right now. I like it, and I think it's about ready for publishing. But one really easy to implement feature that that I thought about just yesterday that I'm gonna add is multiple languages, because I'm focusing in the first place on having a really simple, on like faking all the backend stuff. So it's just a local JSON file containing all the data. I have like 16,000 words in my database, but I don't want to have a database, so I'm just gonna have like 200 words or so in a JSON file, or just in a JavaScript object. I mean, that's what I'm gonna work with, and adding more languages here should be easy. However, the way I got this list is a bit silly, so basically I made a really big network request and I just saved the response and copied the response's body and pasted it into the file. So I need to change my schema and everything, which is overkill just for this simple change. I think it's fine though, because it will make it easier. Like if the schema and database are in concordance with the fake, or not the fake, but the basically the data that is like just an object, if it's concurrent, if they're more or less the same, it will make it much easier to transition down the road. If they divert, like if one of them has Spanish and English and German and Italian, and the other one does not, then this will make it really difficult to transition later on. There will be technical debt. And another thing I just remembered is that it would also be good to create this list more, so that the experience is nicer, that the words are more interesting. That's also something I will add. I think I will just get like 300 or 400 words and then just manually delete stuff that is like boring or change the order. Yeah, and that will be, so that's basically where I'm at. It's done, but more languages seems like, if I show this to people on the internet, languages make it so much more attractive. Like when you can pick more so the language that you want, it just makes everything so much better. Here you can actually see me having built the prototype and the initial UI for the language feature. So the first language that I added was German, and yeah, I had like a crude UI here with this modal, which I can click on to change the language. A problem that I've run into is that the way I got the German words is I just run my English words through a translation API of IBM Watson, because their API documentation was the easiest. But the translation is actually quite poor, and some of the words are translated quite horribly. And that means I have to do a lot of manual work, and at the same time, a lot of the words simply they're simply weird. And it's like tough to find all of them. And this here then is the more final user interface with it, which is more minimalistic, with just flags that you click on and then you can pick another flag. So that's what I'm gonna do next. Yeah, I hope this was interesting. Bye bye.